Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sneha, and today I'm sharing part 2 of the review on Charlotte Tilbury products. In part 1, I shared with you guys my favorites, showing you a demo on how the products apply on my skin, and I also shared some products that I wouldn't particularly recommend from Charlotte Tilbury. So if you haven't watched it and are interested, I'm going to link the video as a card right here. So if you click the card, it should open in a new tab. But today we're going to talk about some of the mediocre products, I would say, that didn't make it to the favorites, or some products that are new and therefore did not make it to the favorites because I hadn't had enough time to really work with the product before moving it into my favorites. By the way, if you are curious about the makeup look, it will be coming up on my Instagram as an IGTV video, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So let's get started. So we'll start with skincare products first. So one of our newer launches have been the Magic Cream Light. This is what it looks like. I just bought the trial size because these are so expensive. And it comes with a nice pump. So this contains 15 ml and retails for $25. So that's quite a steep price. And I have been using it almost every day for the past 2 weeks. So I do think I have a fair idea of how this product is. It is a beautiful moisturizer. It smells really nice. I don't know if there's fragrance or just the plant and the flower extract in here, but it does have a nice floral almost kind of a scent to it as you apply it, but nothing that lingers on the face. It just feels really nice when you are applying it to the face. Other than that, it is quite hydrating on the skin. It does not create a mattified finish, which is what they claim on their website, at least on my skin type, which is combination to oily. It does not look matte at all. It still looks quite radiant on the skin. Now, will I recommend this? Probably not, just because it is so expensive. If you were to get the full size, which I believe is 50 ml, and you have to pay 75 pounds for it, so it is quite expensive. And when I compare it with the other moisturizers that I own, say for example this one, which is the Airbrush Lay Cream Concentrate, as you can see, I've used quite a bit of this as well, and it's been a staple for many years now. With this one, you get 75 ml of product. It only retails for $20, but I always get it on sale for like 14 or 15 pounds. So this works out way cheaper, and it creates almost the same effect, just that this doesn't have SPF, and this has, I believe, SPF 15 or 20 in it. But then again, I don't rely on a moisturizer for my sunscreen. I definitely prefer adding a second product. But if you're not sensitive to fragrance and you want something lightweight and you can afford this moisturizer, it is a good one to try. The next skincare product is this sheet mask. This is called the Instant Magic Facial Dry Sheet Mask, and it says you get expert facialist results in just 15 minutes. So this is what it looks like. I have used this at least 3 times, I think. So you get one single sheet here, and I believe it's around 18 pounds or so. It hydrates, lifts, reduces wrinkles, smooths, and brightens is the claims of it. I have used it, and I am not a person who likes the traditional sheet mask. I don't know, something about the wet nature of the sheet mask puts me away from using it, and I have a ton in my drawers, and I tend to use them sparingly. So I was really happy to try the sheet mask just because this is a dry sheet mask. So that's something I prefer to apply on my face compared to a wet traditional sheet mask. Having said that, you can typically use your wet sheet mask only once, but this I think you can use up to 3 times on their website, but I am going to try and use this more than 3 times. I'm essentially going to use this till I no longer see any effect from using the mask, if that makes sense. Now, would I recommend this? Yes and no, because technically you're paying 18 pounds for more than one sheet mask because you can use these multiple times. So considering that, it comes down to just £6 per session of using the sheet mask, especially if you're using it 3 times. But I bet you can get more use from this. So it is a good experience to use it, and you do see some nice effects on the skin. The skin definitely looks more hydrated and almost like it's had a little bit of a lift, if that makes sense. Everything looks more tight. So that's why this product is like an in-between. If you can afford it, definitely give it a try. It is a good product. Doesn't do everything that it claims to do. It does like 50% of it. Next, let's talk about some base products. So starting with a foundation. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. Now I do have a full dedicated review for this foundation with wear test, so I'm going to link it as a card right here. But in a nutshell, it's a good foundation with about a medium coverage, I would say, with satin-like finish. So it's not completely matte, it still leaves a glow on the skin. But my problem with this is, especially on my oily skin type, is that it gets oily every 3 to 4 hours. I prefer the Airbrush Flawless Foundation for that reason. It's more mattifying and better suited for my skin type. So maybe someone with a combination normal skin type may get better use from this formula compared to the Airbrush Flawless Finish. Secondly, this one does tend to settle into my smile lines a little bit more compared to the Airbrush Flawless one, which almost doesn't settle in. So that's the reason I prefer that formula over this. So this is a pass for me, but some people may enjoy the formula, so that's why it's in this in-between category. Next is this corrector. This is their Magic Vanish corrector, I believe, and I have the shade 3 Tan. Now this product is a really nice color corrector, especially if you are into color correction. I personally don't use too much of color corrector in my everyday makeup routine. I really don't need much. I possibly can use a little bit on the outer corners, but most days I'm just not bothered to do that. But if I do, this is a good formula to use. The texture is creamy, but it almost settles into like a powder finish, which is good. So it's not too emollient where it slips and slides all over the face, and a little goes a really long way. So that's something I really like about this product as well. So it's a good color corrector, especially if you're into it. Not something I use on a daily basis, but it is a good product to try. Also, I almost forgot, this can double up as a good cream blush. Next is a concealer. This is the Retoucher Conceal and Treat Stick. You get this pen style of concealer. Now, I don't know if I should even talk about this product because I just checked on their website and it looks like these are going to be discontinued. So again, this was something more of an everyday concealer compared to the Magic Concealer, which is the formula that I prefer. This is just good for like an everyday under eye concealer if you don't have too much discoloration. So again, gives a very natural look on the skin, if that makes sense. Gives a radiant finish as well. So I wouldn't particularly recommend this over your face for blemishes or anything, but this is good for under the eye. But as it's been discontinued, I don't think there's much point in discussing this any further. Next is a setting powder. You guys know I love the Airbrush Flawless Finish powder, but last year Charlotte Tilbury launched this loose format, which is called the Magic Powder. This powder is a really finely milled powder with almost like a glow, subtle glow to it. The powder is good, but just that it has no fragrance to it, which may be a good or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. Because when you open it, the first thing you can smell is the ingredients almost, if that makes sense. But it is a nice powder, but the smell of it somehow puts me away from using it, especially when you're trying to powder around your nose. So although it is a good product, I am kind of reluctant just based off of the smell. But if it doesn't bother you, it is a good powder to use. It's something I've used for touch-up because I've had the makeup on for a couple of hours at least now. So I just powdered the center of my face just before starting filming. If you'd like to see the finish of the powder. The next two products are also fairly new products from Charlotte Tilbury. The first one is the Airbrush Bronzer. I have it in the shade Medium. And I have used this non-stop since I've picked it up. So this should have made it into my favorites, but because it was a new product, I didn't want to quickly add it into my favorites and then regret later. But this is a beautiful bronzer. This is the product I have as my bronzer today, and you can see that it adds nice subtle definition to the face without looking patchy or too dark or too orange, if that makes sense. So I really enjoy this product, and this is definitely jumping into my favorites. Again, I have a full review with this product, so I'm just going to link it right here if you're interested in watching that. Next is another fairly new product. This is the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Again, I don't want to dwell too much on this because I have a dedicated review with wear test with this particular product, which I'm going to link here as a card. But in a nutshell, it is a good setting spray. From the demo, if you watch the video, you can see that it does extend the wear of makeup. On my skin particularly, which is oily skin type, it did slightly reduce the production of oil, but not too different compared to the other side, which did not have any setting spray. Also, this is fragrance, so if that's something you're sensitive to, I would skip on this product. But it's not something that bothers me. It just has a nice, almost rose floral kind of a scent, very faint, and it quickly dissipates as the product dries from your skin. It's a product that I will definitely continue using, but I'm not sure if I will repurchase this. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, definitely give it a like and also consider subscribing to my channel for more videos. Next, let's talk about some eye products from the brand. The first one I want to talk about is the color Chameleon pencils. This one I have here is the shade Amber Haze. It's meant for brown eyes. Beautiful bronzy gold tone. And then if I were to swatch it, this is what the color looks like. Absolutely stunning. Good for a quick and easy all over the eyelid, one shade done. This is a color I would highly recommend if you're of a similar skin tone or if you have brown eyes. This color looks really nice. What I like about this is that it's a creamy formula that's easy to glide on the eyes, but you do get maybe a minute or so to blend out the formula. But once it dries, it is smudge proof. Now, because I do have very oily eyelids and nothing can survive on my eyes without a primer, I do prime my eyelids with the NARS Eye Primer. But this is a really good formula of stick eyeshadows. I'll just wait for this to dry, but I will show you a swipe test at the end of the video. Now, as much as I love the color Chameleons, I do not like these spot cream shadows. I have two shades here, Rose Gold and Betty, I believe. One is like a bronze gold color and the other is a rose gold color. These are called the Eyes to Mesmerize cream shadows, but these are too creamy. They just slip and slide and never really set on the eyes unless you put on powder eyeshadow on top. So on their own, I do not recommend them, and that's something I do not use it. Even when I have an eye primer underneath, I just don't trust them to last on my eyelids. I prefer to use them as a base for powder eyeshadows, especially when I know my clients have maybe a normal eyelid, which is not too oily. I'll show you one of these shades swatched on my hand. Just going to add it right here. Then if I were to blend it, you can see that it's a very creamy formula. It has a beautiful shine, but I'll show you in a bit once we come back to swatching these that these still move around. Next, moving on to powder eyeshadows. The first one I have here is called the Transform Eyes, and this is what it looks like inside. You get two shimmer and two matte shades. I quite enjoy the shimmer shades and the orange shade. This one I'm not a big fan of just because it's a slightly more cool toned, almost gray brown color. So just based off of the color, I'm not a big fan. But overall, these are very easy to use. The mattes are almost dusty, if that makes sense. So you're never going to have too much of color sticking to one area. They're going to be very easy to blend. So it's good as beginner eyeshadow palette, or if you struggle with blending eyeshadows or you don't have too much time to blend, these quads are really good. They're expensive, but it's good for a certain kind of person, if that makes sense. Personally, I love spending time with eyeshadows. I love intensity in the eyeshadows, so although I love the shimmers, I'm not a big fan of the matte formula, especially from this palette. I've heard the newer palettes, the Desert Haze ones, have better matte formula, but I haven't tried it, so I'm not sure of that. So my review is just based off this palette. Again, I do believe I have a 3 looks 1 palette video using this, so I'm going to link it as a card right here. The second eyeshadow palette that I have is the Icon palette. This is what it looks like. It's called Eyes to Hypnotize. Beautiful packaging. And then this is what the colors look like inside. I do have swatches for this on my Instagram if you're interested. But the mattes in this are almost creamy. They're not the same texture as the other eyeshadow palette. And I really enjoy using this palette more than the other one. The shimmers are beautiful and you do get different textures, some that are more softer and then others which are more sparkly. And the mattes are also very creamy and very easy to blend. So this is a palette I would recommend. The only time I would say you can skip this if you are of a mature skin type, then I don't think the shimmers would particularly look the best on the eyelids. And the last eye product I have is actually a brow gel. This is called Legendary Brows. This is what it looks like. What I like about this is the applicator. It has a really tiny brush, if you can see that. That picks up a decent amount of product and you can apply it lightly through your brows. And that is something I've used as my brow gel today. So you can see usually the front of my brow is quite light in color even when I apply my brow product. But today, because I have used this, it's kind of coated the brow hairs a bit. So it's definitely appearing darker. But as far as the hold on this brow gel, I don't think there is much. So personally, I would say pass on this product. It's good for just color, I feel like. Okay, moving on to Chic products. Probably a very popular product from her line is the Filmstar Bronze and Glow palette. So I have both the shades. I'm going to hold it right next to me. This one is clearly the fair to light one. and then this is light to medium. So as you can see, based on my skin tone, I can get away with the bronzer in this one, but then the highlight is too orange, whereas I like the tone of the highlighter in here. So it's kind of a miss, and therefore I keep them in my freelance kit. Also, the highlighter in this is quite subtle, so it's good for mature skin, I feel like. And also the bronzer formula is quite nice and soft and glides on really nice on the skin. So if that's something that interests you, you guys can pick this one up. But I personally prefer the new Airbrush bronzer, and I definitely prefer her liquid highlighters to these. But if you're looking for something subtle but not a stark glow on the face, then these are definitely worth checking out. Next is a highlighter palette. This is called the Bar of Gold. This is what it looks like. So it comes with 3 Bar of Gold highlighter shades. You can see I've used quite a bit of these. Now, I really enjoyed this particular highlighter, and again, I have a full video for it, so I'm going to link it right here. But what I enjoy about these is that they create impact even when used dry, but these can also be used wet. You can also use it on your eyes as eyeshadow. They look absolutely stunning, and when you mix all 3, it suits almost all skin tones. So I highly recommend this one if you can still get your hands on it. I believe it was limited edition, but I'm not sure. But this is something I would recommend from the line. And the last cheek product I have is a powder blush. This is what it looks like. The shade I have here is Pillow Talk Intense. Now the whole idea with these blushes is that you swirl your brush on the outer circle and apply it to your cheeks, and then just add the pop to the apples of your cheeks or more as a highlighter. I don't do that. I just swirl everywhere and apply it to the cheeks. Also, it's not a formula that I feel like is mind-blowing, if that makes sense. So it's not something that I would personally recommend from the brand. There are many other products that are standout. So I would say skip on this and spend your money on the really good Charlotte Tilbury products. And lastly, moving on to lip products, I have the lip cheats. So I have 5 shades here. Most of these live in my freelance kit, but the one that stays with me is the Pillow Talk Medium. So I'm going to quickly swatch all of these on the back of my hand. And then once we come back to do all the swatch tests, we'll also swatch some of these liners. So those are the 5 lip liners. So Pillow Talk Medium, Love Trap, Bond Girl, and then Savage Rose. I'm going to let them settle for a minute, but these are absolutely stunning. I don't know how I forgot to feature these in my favorites, but these are beautiful lip liners, very, very long lasting. These are more long lasting than, say, the MAC lip liners, the NYX lip liners, Colourpop lip liners. All of those tend to smudge and bleed. This one stays put. You'll see that in the smudge test once I let them dry for a bit, but these are definitely long lasting, and I definitely recommend checking these out. And the last lip product I have for you guys is the liquid lipstick. This is called Hollywood Lips. This is what the packaging looks like. Beautiful packaging. The shade I have here is Dangerous Liaison. This is what the doe foot applicator looks like. So the formula of this is more mousse-like, if that makes sense. So I'm going to maybe swatch it right here. So we can see that. So it's a good, comfortable formula, but what I don't like is that it's constantly transfers, and that's something I don't look forward to in a liquid lipstick. But if that's something that doesn't bother you, you can try the formula, but it's a pass for me personally. Okay, now lastly, let's just do the smudge test for all of these products. I'm just going to show you my fingers are clean. I'm going to swatch this guy first, which was the color Chameleon. Nothing at all on my fingers, and you can see how much product is remaining. Next, let's do the cream shadows. I'm just going to do a couple of swipes, and you can tell that a lot of it still comes off on my hand. So I wouldn't recommend that formula at all. Let's do the lip liners. I'll do these 3 first. As you can see, I'm smudging it quite hard, but all of them are still intact. They do not budge. Nothing on my finger, and I'm going to try these 2 as well. Nothing at all. Lastly, I'm going to try this one, the liquid lipstick, which I know will transfer and smudge. There you go. There's so much of it coming off. So that's really it for this video. I hope these mini reviews were helpful to you guys. And if you enjoyed it, definitely give it a like and also consider subscribing for more videos. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!